All right, in this video, we're going to stick with solving literal equations. We're just going to up our game a little bit and do a little bit more complex looking formulas. Okay, but just like before, we're going to use those same inverse operations to get a variable by itself. Okay, if you see multiplication, use division. If you see addition, use subtraction. If you want to isolate a variable, you got to do the opposite operation you see to the other side. Okay, you're going to treat the other variables that you are not solving for like constants. Okay, so what does that mean? When we do questions like this, there's going to be a lot of ugly, ugly equations. Stuff like I is equal to P times R times T. Okay, so for this example, it says we want to solve for R. That means the variables that we're not solving for, I, P, and T, we're going to treat those things like they're numbers. Okay, so we're going to use the simple interest formula to solve for R if I is equal to P times R times T. So let's write that out. I is equal to P times R times T. And my goal here is to get R all by itself. So I'm going to treat P and T that are right next to it just like they're numbers. Okay, so how do I get rid of multiplying by P? What I need to do is, if I want to get rid of multiplying by P, I need to divide both sides by P. And what's going to happen here is if I divide both sides by P, if I look at my right side, this cancels with that, and I can't really clean up that left side anymore, so I just leave it as is. I divided by P is equal to what's left on the right side, R times T, okay? So my right side's looking a little bit cleaner, but my end goal here is I want to get R all by itself. Is it all by itself yet? No, it's still got a T right next to it, okay? Treat that T like it's a number. How do I get rid of multiplying by T? I have to divide both sides by T. Okay, a little bit funky here, but if we want to make sure we're getting rid of multiplying by T, we got to divide both sides by T. On the left side here, the T is basically just going to go in the denominator. So what happens here is this cancels with this, and on my right side, R is completely isolated, which is what I want. And then my left side is going to be I in the numerator, or I on top, and then P times T in the denominator. And R is all by itself. This is isolated. Okay, let's do another example. So we're going to use the formula to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius, and we want to solve for F. We want to get F all by itself. Okay, a little bit ugly here, but we see C is equal to 5/9 times the quantity F minus 32. Okay, our end goal here is we want to get F all by itself. Okay, so what should you do here? My first step is, if you're lost and you don't know what to do, it's always a good idea to distribute if you can. I'm going to take this 5/9 and distribute it to both terms. So I'm left with C is equal to 5/9 F minus 32 times 5/9. I could do that off to the side here if I like. But here's what I'll tell you. It'll equal 160 over 9, minus 160 over 9. Okay, so what's my goal here? I still want to get F all by itself. So what's my first thing I see here? I see a minus 160 over 9. It's a very ugly number, but it's still just a number. How do I get rid of subtracting 160 over 9? All I need to do is add 160 over 9 to both sides. So on my left side, I'm left with C is equal to, or excuse me, C, let me erase that. C plus that 160 over 9, no way I could simplify that any further, is equal to 5/9 F. Okay, still a little bit ugly because we're dealing with a bunch of fractions, okay, but I'm much, much closer to getting this solved for F. The only thing I got to get rid of now is this 5/9. Okay, how do you get rid of multiplying by a fraction? A lot of you guys did well on this in the quiz. The way we get rid of multiplying by fractions, we have to multiply by the reciprocal. Multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So what is the reciprocal of 5 over 9? It's just going to be 9 over 5. So I'm going to multiply my entire right side by 9/5 and my entire left side by 9/5. Super, super important. Make sure you're throwing your entire left side in parentheses. What's going to happen here is basically you're distributing. Okay, so how does this clean up? Basically, the 9/5 and the 5/9 cancel, and on your right side, you're just left with F. Okay, so here's what I'll tell you. You can distribute this, and you can take the time to do that. But after you multiply both sides by 9/5, your F is going to be all by itself. There's no reason to do extra work if you don't need to. I'm okay if you just leave it like this. Just leave it as its undistributed form. 9/5 times C plus 160 over 9, and that could be your final answer because F is all by itself.